It's not the honey that's not good. You have a problem in your body. Your mouth is full of sores. Let's fix those sores up and you'll enjoy the honey.
Wherever you get your podcasts from, or our own website, prismoftorah.org. This is The Prism of Torah with Rabbi Asaf Aaron Prisman.
Shalom Uvracha. In our parsha, Parshas Balak, we know Balak, the king of Moab, sends messengers to Bilaam, the prophet, so that he will curse out the Jewish people, because he was scared of the Jewish people taking over his land as well. Rashi brings a Midrash Tanchuma, that says, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu give this special power to Bilaam, who was a wicked person, who was a goy, and he gave him this unbelievable power of nevius, of prophecy? Why? And the Midrash answers, so the goyim won't have an excuse. Oh, of course we could have been good people like Bnei Israel, but you didn't give us a prophet, so it's not fair. So in order that they won't have a pischon pei, they won't have an excuse, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them a prophet. The question begs itself, they still have an excuse. Because at the end of the day, how can you compare Moshe Rabbeinu to Bilaam? Moshe Rabbeinu was such a tzaddik, he reached the level of Anav Mikol Adam, the most modest person, as opposed to Bilaam. We know from the story, he always chased after honor, taivas. How can you compare? It seems like the question wasn't answered, because the Goyim can still come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, it's not fair. We have a good excuse. You didn't give us such a leader like Moshe Rabbeinu. I saw this question I really connected to in a sefer called Lev Aaron. And I want to suggest the following answer that he also brings down, but I'll change a little bit. And that is, there's a major difference over here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered the Goyim based on what their taina, what their accusation will be. And that is, they thought the only parameter that matters over here is wisdom. Chokhmah, wisdom. And hence they said, oh, we need a wise person like Moshe Rabbeinu. If we had such a wise person with prophecy, that combination is unbelievable. If we had that combination, of course, we would also be like the Jewish people. But you didn't give us wisdom. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no problem. Bilaam is a very wise person. I'll give you Bilaam and I'll give him prophecy. Even though he might not deserve it, I'll give him prophecy. So that you won't be able to have an excuse and say, oh, if only we had a wise person with also a level of prophecy like Moshe Rabbeinu, we would be way better people. However, and this is actually hinted in what Chazal tell us, Lo kam beYisrael keMoshe oid. There was never such a person in Am Yisrael like Moshe Rabbeinu. But in the Goyim, from a certain perspective, there was someone on that level. You know who that was? Bilaam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu ensured that they'll have such a figure. Because in their eyes, the only parameters that matter are, number one, wisdom, number two, prophecy. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them that. However, we know the truth. The truth is that wisdom, although it's a good tool that if you use it wisely, excuse the pun, it can get you very far, but that is not what life is all about. You can be smart, and chas v'shalom, you can use it to very bad things. I don't want to mention people in history, but we know what the Germans, and they were known to be very smart, intellectual people. We know what they were able to do with that. And hence, it's not about that. It's way more than that. It's about letting the Torah affect us in a positive way. It's about fixing our midot, being a special person that tries to mimic the midot, the attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being merciful, caring about the other, etc., etc. And how do you do that? The Torah is the only real way we can do that. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Torah first and looked at the Torah, and that was the blueprint for the world. And the Torah is a tavlin, it's a spice to help us work together with the Yetzer Hara to always do Ratzon Hashem, which is to mimic his midot. Without that, it's game over. And that is exactly what we saw. Moshe Rabbeinu reached such a high level because he continuously worked on himself on the spiritual level with the Torah, and he was able to reach such a high level that he was called by HaKadosh Baruch Hu the most modest person, Anav Mikol Adam, as opposed to Bilaam that we know he won more kavod. What, that's all the messengers you're sending to me? What more? More chashuv people. It's so sad because today we see in the world people are very smart and we see what they're doing with it. Even in their own country, I'm not going to go into details. How can they be smart and do what they're doing? That is because they're disconnected from spirituality. They're disconnected from Torah. There's a famous philosopher that was very smart, very big into philosophy, but he actually did a not such a nice thing with women. They came up to him and asked him, how could you do that? You, the philosopher. You know what he answered? He answered, during that time, I was not a philosopher. That says it all. That summarizes the whole Nakuda, which reminds me of the famous Gemara in Sukkah that in the world to come, the wicked people and the righteous people, tzaddikim and reshaim, are going to start crying. They won't be able to believe what they see. And what is it that they see? The Yetzer Hara. The reshaim will cry because they see the Yetzer Hara is so small. How were we not able to beat it? And the tzaddikim will cry, wow, it's a huge mountain. How were we able to beat it? And the answer is to be a fair matchup. As much as a person works on himself through Torah and works on his midot and becomes on a higher level to ensure it's fair teams, it's a fair matchup, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also enlarges the Yetzer Hara. However, the Rishaim that never worked on themselves, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not require to make the Yetzer Hara bigger. And how do we know that the Goyim didn't appreciate the Torah and didn't realize that through the Torah a person can live life the way it was meant to be? That is because they didn't accept the Torah. As the famous Midrash says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went to each nation and said, would you like the Torah? They said, well, what does it say in it? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a different answer to each nation. One nation it said, you shall not kill. Each one got a different answer. Once HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them what was written in the Torah, they said, no, I want to continue the way I am. So you see that the Goyim did not appreciate the deepness and the enormous impact that the Torah can have on one. But I want to share with you what I said many years ago by my Mashgiach, one of my famous votes that I heard from my Mashgiach of Diamant Shlita from the yeshiva I went to in the Sivos Oilam. And he said, I don't understand. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell each nation, and based on the Midrash, a different answer? For you, he said, it says in the Torah not to kill. And for you, it says, don't steal a person. Why did each one get a different answer? And question number 2, which is even bigger, in my opinion. What's going on over here? The Goyim care about the truth. All those things that Hashem answered them, they anyways need to abide by them because they're part of the famous 7 mitzvahs that the Goyim need to abide by, which are known as Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach. So what's going on over here? What's the argument? What's the Shakatari? What is Hashem answering them? Something they were mechuyev to do was mandatory for them to abide by anyways? Says my Mashgiach, no, it's way deeper than that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, they asked, what's the Torah all about? Hashem says, this is what it says there. I know you. Your nation loves killing. It's in your DNA to kill. If you take the Torah and abide by the Torah, it's going to be a tavlin. It's going to help you and change you that you will not want to kill. That's the whole essence of the Torah, to ensure you mimic the midot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they answered to that, no. We love the way we are. We want to continue. Mikublani mi beis Abba, that's the lashon over there. We want to continue doing what we do. So you see from here, based on my Mashgiach's answer, that Hashem was telling them the Torah will change you. And that's why it's very fitting that every nation got a different answer. Because every nation, in their DNA, they had a different tendency to do something else that was bad. And Hashem said, the Torah will change you. You're used to doing X that's bad. It's going to change you. And they said no. So they did not appreciate the Torah. And we see what happens. You see what happened with Bilaam at the end. It was just getting worse and worse, as opposed to Moshe Rabbeinu, which was getting better and better. How could we not end off with the famous story with Rav Steinman that a kid came up to him? We'll make the story short. And the kid said to him, until he fought to get in to see Rav Steinman, he said, does Rav want a hamburger? You know how good a hamburger is? A steak? A falafel? Unbelievable. Rav Steinman didn't know what he was talking about because he only has a carrot for lunch. And his Gabayim said, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you talking shtusim to him? At the end of the day, Rav Steinman saw the kid was bothered, and he said, what's bothering you, son? Just tell me. And he told him, I'll tell you what's bothering me. Just like these things don't talk to the Rav, so too learning Torah doesn't talk to me. Rav Steinman said, let me tell you something. And he told him a story. I used to grow up in Kfar Saba, and I had nothing in my house. And a friend of mine came to visit me, I haven't seen for like 40 years. I wanted to give him something. I had nothing in my house. Finally, I see a bit of honey. I go and give him a bit of honey. I said, oh, amazing, geschmack, honey, sweet. I gave him honey, and as he tasted it, he spat it out. He couldn't take it. And Rav Steinman said, I felt so bad. Finally, I can give my guest something, and he can't take it. I didn't understand, but honey, it tastes so good. I tasted it myself. It tasted amazing. He said, open your mouth for a second. He saw all these canker sores, and he said, it's not the honey that's not good. You have a problem in your body. Your mouth is full of sores. Let's fix those sores up and you'll enjoy the honey. Rav Steinman looks with his piercing eyes to this bachur and says to him, you see, let's learn Torah together, week by week, and you will see, it'll change you. You will enjoy learning, and it's going to totally change you. But first, You have to promise me you're not going to lie anymore. Don't lie. You don't want to wear tefillin, don't wear tefillin now. Just one thing. Take upon yourself one thing. Don't lie and come to me 3 times a week, only for 20 minutes. And so it went on, and he totally changed. His midot became a lot better. His way of speaking became better, and it totally changed him. This story emphasizes and shows us the Torah has the power of changing a person. You see that with Gdolei Yisrael, or even not Gdolei Yisrael, people that are connected to the Torah and are emestik yidin that really want to grow. You see that through Torah, they can get to such a high level that someone that's disconnected from Torah cannot reach. That is the way Hashem created the world. Yiratzon that will implement this idea that through Torah, we can reach a high level and get close to the midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just like Moshe Rabbeinu did. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of The Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on The Prism of Torah.